Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 254. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Johnny V here on 4th of July Eve. We'll get my mic fixed. 4th of July Eve.
He's saying it's July 2nd.
Yeah, that's the clever way to say it. So welcome. Hope you guys are well tonight. Bringing you some sweet action as we have we got a guest lined up. We are going to, again, I guess for the third week, we're missing out on Dynamite, as I was just informed shortly before the show. Our guest tonight, though, Terry Roethlisberger from Minnesota. He took down one of the A tiers that was taking place here in the States. I also had reached out to some of the other A tier winners as well. And, well, we're going to join Jessica and Double G on another day. They're already on the East Coast, and so great to spread some love around and go maybe a little off the beaten path by highlighting an Iowa A tier as opposed to a Michigan A tier. We're going to be in Michigan for a big event this weekend anyway.
We said before, it's almost impossible to get a hold of Double G or Jessica. They just live kind of like James Conrad off the grid. And they're a little bit more, I don't want to say technology savvy, because talking to James a couple weeks ago, I mean, he's good. He just
chooses not to partake.
Yeah, chooses not to partake. And whereas of Double G and Jess, I think they're just early birds.
Well, no, the early birds in terms of sleep and such. I did reach out. They very quickly got back to me and very much wish they could be with us. Again, it's just knowing they're already in Michigan, they're an hour ahead. They said they're normally calling it a night by now. And again, great to have to spread some love around. Terry will be a new face here too, which also actually really excites me. I know that we have a lot of, we'll say, return guests that are here, and to have a brand new face on tonight, I'm just super excited about that as well. So we'll have him in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's one of those things that people actually bring up to us a lot, that we tend to have a lot of the same guests because they're the people that tend to win quite a bit, that if we can highlight other players and TDs and things of that nature, people do look forward to that and like to hear new voices once in a while. So I'm excited to get to know Terry a little bit.
There you go. So we'll be doing that.
Terry.
Yes, a much better one than I am. Also, speaking of, she doesn't quite pronounce it the same, but Juha's wife, Terry, from Finland this weekend, got a pleasure to meet. It was a pleasure to meet her and the rest of the entire staff. She was one of the many very, very integral parts and components of the largest event to ever take place in Europe this last week. Of course, I'm talking about Tyyni. And I'll quickly recap that before we get into some of the other ones. I know that there was a decent amount of people that tuned in. It was kind of an impromptu.
Tuned in?
Exactly. It was kind of an impromptu gesture that every night of the event, we had a little bit of a recap. I want to thank Tomas, I wanted to say. I want to thank Thomas for joining me and being just a phenomenal co-host, and then some, because I think he speaks like 6 or 8 different languages. You'd have no idea that English was not his first language. He was just incredible.
Yeah, I caught 2 of them. I don't know if you did more than that. I don't know if you did a third one or not.
I did.
Did you? I'm sure you did. I caught 2 of them, was able to watch most of it, and it was very well done. Great. The switching seemed to be very good. The cameras were nice and clear. The audio was good. The content, well, I mean, it was you, but no, the content was really good as well. So it was nice to see you able to do that overseas.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and that was only because they had such an incredible staff, as I was just mentioning, Juha. And then it was a little, I don't know if intimidating is the right word, but it's just a little different feeling when there's a gentleman who's switching the show. And he was more or less in charge of bringing me there. He's sitting about 5 feet away from me the entire time I'm doing the work that I was doing.
Are you saying I'm not intimidating?
No. I don't care what you say or think. If I haven't made that clear, I guess we could just verbalize it now.
All right.
But Juha was sitting there, as well as the, we'll say, head TD in Gabriel. And so just having them right there, always within earshot as we're kind of recapping the day and the things that were going on, that was just a little bit different. But it was so much fun. I think we had one on Wednesday night before the event started. We had a brief one Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. So yeah, when it was all said and done, there were 4 of them that were out there, and they ranged from 30 minutes to an hour and 30 minutes. And it was a lot of fun. And I guess one thing I would like to ask people is, whether that's done via SmashBoxx or the Disc Golf Guy channel or the Pro Tour channel, whatever it might be, is that something that people would like to see at every large event? Or is that overkill? Are there enough podcasts and articles and Instagram stories that cover things, or would you guys like to see more of that at any given event? That's what I'd like to know.
I think people do enjoy that. One of the things I've talked to other people about is like a post-game show, having somebody within usually hopefully about a half hour of whenever the event ends, come on, maybe if you're lucky, show some highlights, get an interview or two with some players, and just maybe have 2 to 3 talking heads discuss the play of the day. I think that is something that a lot of people would enjoy if done properly or if produced well. And I don't think, it's kind of funny to say this knowing all the different disc golf content that's out there, but I don't think we've saturated the market with disc golf content as it is.
Okay. Well, and in a perfect world, and I remember kind of negotiating and talking about what my role may or may not be there, it was discussed about me coming to Tyyni to do post-production, and then it was immediately noted, and we both agreed that if they had someone at MPO already, that they had, kind of originally set that up a while ago, that FPO lead card is where I wanted to be, and that made perfect sense. And so that was because of the other tasks and roles that I had, I wasn't able to jump right into the editing and get to that right away. And he had said, had said, it makes sense that we focus on this nightly show, and that we, kind of take in the whole week as it comes, and then we'll get all of the coverage released. So I agree with what was said on the board. It would be awesome to have our post-production coverage also always be coming out that next day, or feature some of the pieces. And again, I wish I just had a few more hands, feature a few of the pieces that we were referencing to fill into that nightly show. That would be, in my opinion, the best way to do it. So if I'm talking about, the 4 great putts that Luca have, 4 great putts that she had, we could actually then show them, and then some from the MPO side, or the heartbreaker that so-and-so had when something rolled away. So that would be the ideal way to do it. It just, again, comes down to manpower.
Correct. One of the things, and it's not, I guess it's kind of after show talk. One of the things I've been looking into seriously recently is called digital asset management.
Sounds dirty.
Yeah. We create so much, and we're not alone. We create so much content, whether it's live, highlights, interviews, podcasts, everything, that just managing it is almost a job in and of itself. So I've been doing a ton of research into how other sports and other companies deal and do a lot of this stuff. Because ultimately, when I create a highlight, it creates it as like a generic name of like camera 1 and then a date and time, which does me no good. So I go through, hopefully after the event, and rename it with player name, event, course, round, whether it's a putt or a drive, what hole it's on. And I kind of want to do, if it's a putt, whether it was a circle 1 or circle 2 putt. And I haven't been doing that, but I think I might go back and do that. So it's really easy for us to say, guess what? We're coming up to this event. Ricky last year hit 5 circle 2 putts. I can do a quick type in, pull all those highlights down, and have them at the ready, as opposed to taking a ton of time to dig through all that stuff. It's a whole industry, man. It's crazy, but it would be really cool for us to be able to have a lot of that stuff, and having someone be able to do that on the fly, so that if we did this post-game show, we could then reference all of that, have contact an intern, or get this up online, get these highlights up online where someone can then quickly go through and do that. It's all manpower.
Yeah, and as you're saying that, I think back to the cataloging to some degree, the organization and cataloging that I do for all of the footage that we capture. And that gives us a great starting point. But if we wanted to pull every circle 2-putt from Paul Macbeth over the last 5 years, it would be amazing if you could just do a simple query and like you said, just pull it all right up. It's just the fact that you're talking about spending anywhere from 1 to 2 to 6 hours after you've done all your other editing to then go ahead and tag all of those individual things, depending on just how dialed in you want to get it. And as much as it always sounds great, I always think I'd love to have it, but it's
I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it.
It's
just not enough hours in the day.
Again, doing all this research, you finding like what is happening with all this stuff. Like MLB has I think I read 12 teams of 4 guys that do this. And they as all these games come in, they've got one guy tagging it, one guy filing it, one guy Instagramming it, one guy of course there's Major League Baseball, but just thinking that would be nice.
Yeah.
Should we talk a little bit about the results for the Tyyni before we get Terry on?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's start with the women, seeing as how that's the round, the group that you covered. Winning the event was Jenny Eskelinen.
Eskelinen, yeah.
Eskelinen, Jenny Eskelinen. She took home $1,200. She shot a 12 over par, 931, 929, and 920, upsetting the favorite, might I add, of Kristen Tatar, who is rated 949, and she was kind of just the assumed going to run away with this, is what everybody thought, because she had a perfect year coming into this, beating some of the other European top dogs out there. Everyone from Evelina and I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
Is it? I didn't meet her. Not Heidi.
No, I was thinking earlier in the year.
Yeah,
beating
who we
Evelina.
saw at.
Yes. Well, anyway, she's basically, of course, run the board. So to see her ended up, unfortunately, losing by 1 stroke was a lot of people. I mean, if there was gambling in our sport, a lot of people would have lost a lot of money. But anyway, she took second place, shooting at 940, 904, and 929, having a rough second round there, winning $762. Third place, Heidi Lane, winning $557. Maris Prendi at 18 over, taking home $205, tied with Luke Sandevik, shooting 18 over as well, tying and getting $205.
Yeah.
Sorry if I massacred your names. I did my best.
Those were all pretty good from what I recall. Luca had a very rough go. We'll just say
she started out very well.
Her ending hole of the tournament kind of was similar to what we saw from Simon Lizotte. I guess that's how I could say that. And on Simon's side, he may have dipped 1 or 2 or 9 spots due to our friend Tin Cup over at on hole 18 there. So unfortunately, they both had kind of a similar finish where a few strokes actually probably dropped them, 2, 3, or 4 spots or more because of hole 18 on the final hole.
And some of that might be experience. I mean, she is only an 887 rated player right now. And she was shooting well above her rating. And I know she's been playing a lot lately, so her rating might be lagging behind what her actual skill level is right now. But that could just be...
Yeah, a little bit of that, but mainly really hole 18 is just really tough. No, hole 18 is a long water carry with a very small bailout zone. Either you have a very small bailout zone or you have a really long water carry with potentially a headwind. You're talking at least a 300-foot water carry just to get onto land. And then even the green in which you're throwing to, if you do get all the way to the green, it's relatively small, and that you could go past the green, as even Simon did on his 29th shot or whatever it was. So it is a very difficult hole. And when they say the last year or two, well, anything can happen on 18, truly anything can happen on 18.
All right. Well,
I think Simon did card a 7 or an 8 on hole 18. So
I'm not sure, but let's talk about the MPO field. Winning in the MPO field was Eagle Win McMahon. I think that guy knows a little thing about winning. And interesting to see how well he played after withdrawing just a few days prior at the Ledgestone. So he took home $2,007, shooting a 1040, a 1013, and a 1054. So 2 rounds actually below his rating and 1 above. Climbing up to second place with a pretty stellar play in general was Eric Oakley. I know Eric wasn't always in second place. Taking third place, Niklas Antila. Sorry again, guys. Winning $1,137. Fourth place, Mikael Ham. Fifth place, Linus Carlson. And I'm stopping there because they just get tougher from there.
You got a couple of Samuels. Those are easy. No.
That's probably not pronounced Samuel. You're
No.
probably throwing me into the wolves here. But congratulations to everyone who played very well. That is a huge event, not just on the the open and open women's side, but just like I said, that is, the largest event in Europe, and as they're saying, kind of the GBO of Europe. It's just big.
It really is, and maybe in the after show we'll talk a little bit more and recap on them as to some of the experience I had. But the short and sweet of it is an amazing event, largest event ever held in Europe. I think ultimately it said 954 players or so, but there was 958. There were more than 4,000 rounds that were played. There was 10 or 11 days of event action going on from the weekend before all the way until a volunteer round after on Sunday. Just so much hard work and so many people, all hands on deck, special releases by Latitude, title sponsorship by Latitude and DD and presenting sponsors and Natural Born Disc Golf for just so much effort and energy to put into an event, and they pulled it off. Things were very punctual, and it was great to see. There's still some cultural differences and some experience with location and things that are all going to be continue to evolve, but anyone that puts on an event of that size and does it with the efficiency that they did, it was truly incredible to see. And I'll end with this note on it. When I made that bet with Chris Finn from Dude, we said in 3 years, meaning 18, 19, or 20, and in 2018, 19, or 20, some non-U.S. player would win Worlds in FPO or MPO. We bet $100 U.S. dollars, unless Australia is worth more. We bet $100. I bet that would not happen. And as of right now, I'm comfortable still with my bet. I think the numbers are still with me. I would not extend that bet.
No.
I would not right now extend that bet. What I saw this weekend was just so, not just fulfilling for me, but in terms of the event and what they have going on, but it was so enlightening to see what is going on over there in Finland and many of the surrounding countries with the players that are coming up, the way that they act and carry themselves and how serious it is. And I felt like, you'll be happy to know, Johnny, I went 5-0 on the first basket game with Johnny Rumble this weekend. And really the point of that is everywhere you turn, there are baskets, there are courses everywhere. In fact, we got kind of sort of lost on a detour one night, and next thing you know, we're literally in the back end of a course, and it was just crazy to see. So, all right, we're going to close that out. Thank you to everyone there. And if you get a chance, definitely it's something you need to put on your list. But a little more local, Finland, Iowa, just a few thousand miles apart. We're going to dial up Terry Roethlisberger and get some insight from him. You can talk a little bit about some of that Scandinavian maybe descent that we see in Minnesota, Wisconsin, some of those areas. We know
Illinois, Michigan.
Yep. We'll see what Terry's got for us, and we can check out another hotbed. It's fair to say Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois. That is, some have said that's also like an epicenter. When they did a survey a few years ago, that's exactly what we saw, is that the number one spot in the country for disc golf would be right in between like that Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan border, right in that neighborhood. So we got a lot of good stuff going on around here. All right, I think almost ready in our Disc Baron Digital green room. He's just got to hit the little video camera icon, and then we'll probably see and hear him. I know I can hear him. If Terry is out there and has that video icon, he looks like it's almost sort of ready. Is there anything we're doing on our end, Johnny?
I don't think so.
Yeah, you've been known to break a thing or two.
Oh, I definitely have, but I think we're good right now.
So it'll be just a second.
Terry, can you hear us? Are you out there?
We can hear him.
He should be able to hear. Yeah, it does say poor connection on the thing. Oh, there's Terry.
All right. Coming out of our Disc Baron Digital Green Room, welcoming to the show for the first time, Terry Rothlisberger. Hey, buddy, how you doing tonight?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. Welcome. Big win this weekend. For those who may not have traveled over to Iowa, what are some of the things that they would expect to see or hear from over at the Titan Open?
Very hot. Lots of trees, and I mean, it was just great community there. There was a lot of people that were out there watching. Yeah.
So there's a lot to be said about Iowa disc golf, and you're, of course, you being in Michigan and us, neighboring you in Wisconsin.
Not Michigan.
I'm sorry, Minnesota. I apologize. With you being there and us neighboring you, all too often, if there's not something huge going on in Minnesota, you guys filter down into Iowa quite a bit. And then Matt Schlebach runs big events, great events. And this A-tier had 53 open competitors. What was kind of your mentality going into it? Anything that suits you, that you like or dislike about the courses?
I mean, I'm a wooded golf person. Type of disc golfer. I like wooded courses, and Wildcat, one of my favorite courses that I've gotten to play. It's very wooded, very technical. I throw a lot of putters and mids there. Just pretty much like my mentality going into it. If I didn't get off the tee, it was just to try to save par. And if I did, then if I was put myself in a position, then I would just try to make the putt. And if I didn't, move on. I mean, can't really expect too much if you don't get off the tee there. It's really hard sometimes.
Yeah, you played 3 different courses, which we don't see a lot of in our bigger NTs and Pro Tour events. You played Wildcat Bluff, Legion Park, and Shaver Park. What are the differences between those three courses?
Wildcat is it's very wooded. It's got a lot of hill. I mean, not a lot of hills, but it has some hill terrain. And then Legion, it's more park golf style. Like it still has the front 9 is probably like you would be not in the woods, but like if you get off the fairway, then you're in like thorns and not fun. But then the second half is when it like opened up, and it's more park golf. It's beautiful course. They hold the Legion of Doom. I guess it's like a C tier that has a bunch of added cash there earlier in the year, and they do like a temp course on the other side of the river. That's a tournament I want to play, but I never get a chance to. And then Shaver, it's right where Titan Disc Golf is located, and that's another wooded course, but it doesn't have a lot of rough. Mm-hmm. It's more park, but it has dirt. There's not a lot of grass, but then like if you get off the fairway, you can still have a chance to get up and down. You're not in the woods.
Okay. You shot 3 rounds, all well above your rating. You're currently rated 10-13, and beat some of our regularly touring pros, Joel Freeman, Chris Clemens, Matt Dollar, Anthony Barella, Matt Bell, AJ Risley, One of your local boys, Alex Geisinger. I know he's not much of a touring guy anymore these days. AJ Risley, I might have said AJ already. Anyway, Jordan Castro. These are guys who, I mean, they do this for a living year round. Is that your position right now, or where are you? Where are you,
right
so
now,
to speak?
Right now, no. I mean, I'm hoping to next year go on tour full time. But I mean, I got to save up some money, and I mean, who knows what could happen in a year or half a year, I guess. But right now, I work full time and then delivering vet supplies, and then I actually work with Alex Geisinger. So then, I mean, on the weekends, whenever I can get time off, I'll just go down to a tournament and practice the course on Friday or Thursday if I can get it off, and see how well I can shoot.
Yeah, so you're kind of like dare I say, a typical like weekend warrior. And what has gotten you to this point? As hype man Daniel's out on the board, he said he was playing intermediate with you like 7 years ago. What has been part of this? Daniel, are you still playing? Anyway, what has been part of this evolution for you? I mean, obviously, I've known your name. I've seen you for a few years playing really well at events, and now here you are talking about potentially going on tour full time next year. Kind of talk about this this growth and evolution over the last 7 years for you.
Pretty much, just everyone that I've been playing with. I mean, I learned so much by just watching and seeing what everyone else is doing, like just on the disc golf course alone. I mean, off the disc golf course, Alex has been pushing me day in and day out. I mean, to get better, go practice. I mean, and he just had his second kid, so he can't really play as much anymore. But I mean, I still get out with a bunch of other people. So this year I've been probably focusing on like putting and then getting out and practicing more than I have in the past. So, I mean, it's just been like this year. I mean, Discraft came out with the Luna. It's probably my favorite throwing putter that I've ever had. So we've just been throwing that thing up or through the fairways. So
are you throwing the Proto? Are you throwing the Z? What have you got your hands on? Because the Z is the talk of the town right now with the
yes.
with after Macbeth threw it like 1,000 feet or something. I don't know. I lost count, but
no. I actually have the Proto Luna, like the very first Proto Lunas. I have two of them.
Okay, yeah, you got a little garbled. You said that you're throwing the Proto Luna though, right?
Yep, the Proto, and then also the Big Z Lunas.
Okay. So now, speaking of that, Discraft has, of course, been making moves, I think, as Paul would say, but they've really stepped up and doing a ton of big things in the last year, bigger than in the past. But you weren't part of that bandwagon switch, were you? You were.
You've been on the team for a little while.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Old school.
You can say that.
I know. I did a Google search for your page for Discraft, like I'd like to do, just kind of get a general idea of what are these guys throwing and this and that. And the first hit that comes up on Google is your old team page, not the nice new looking one. So I'd actually kind of manually search for it.
Yeah, and it's even got your incorrect rating, 1,007, like some other year maybe.
That was the previous one.
That's
before it just switched.
Yeah, this is the new one. If you actually Google it, you'll come up with one of the Discraft's old school page from the old website.
Am I still on there somewhere?
No, it's not that old. It's not that old.
Dang it! All right.
You need to go to the Wayback Machine for that.
All right. I'm there. Yeah. How long have you been sponsored by Discraft?
I believe this is my 4th year.
Okay.
I'm not 100%. I think this is my 4th year, I believe.
So how did all the new players impact you? You see all these guys coming on, and now joining your team, so to speak, because you're the man with the seniority there. How did that affect you and your game and just the entire community around you?
Honestly, it made me want to be better. Like to get to what their level is to, I mean, just like I said, get better so that I can maybe try to get on the elite team. I mean, I'm practicing almost every day when I get a chance, whether it's putting, throwing. I mean, so
along those lines, I guess my follow up to that would be, when you see people now throwing discraft that maybe weren't a year ago or a couple years ago, and I'll throw Alex right into that category, as he was not previously sponsored. Have you picked up anything in terms of like, oh, so and so is throwing the such and such discraft disc in this particular situation? Has any of that kind of opened your eyes or assisted you in any way? Has there been any benefit in that way? Like to see other people do other things with discs that you're already familiar with?
Yes and no. I know, I guess, I mean, I've just really stuck to, like, besides like the Luna, I used to throw the Challenger SS,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Challenger or the Luna came out in like that Jawbreaker CT plastic, and I like that a lot more than our Jawbreaker plastic because it holds its form a lot better than the Jawbreaker,
Sure.
because it doesn't get as warped. But I mean, I've kind of just, I mean, I've thrown the Force. Once we came out with the Undertaker, I've been throwing the Undertaker.
I threw the
haven't really
Undertaker
gotten-
for the first time this weekend. The TI Undertaker. I love it. Honestly, it is a great disc. It just
They're my favorite fairways right now. Or the Yuli Raptors. The Yuli Raptors, they're amazing.
I haven't got a chance to get a hold of one of those yet. I'm gonna have to yell at Yuli and have him send me one. But yeah, those TI Undertakers, just throw it with a little hyzer and it stands up and just goes forever. So I'm excited.
I've had the same one in my bag since 2016. So
Yeah, so get with it, Johnny.
I put one in this weekend when my son went to a birthday party a couple miles from Dretska Park, and I was just kind of like, I don't have to hang out at this birthday party with these kids. I'm gonna go play me some golf. So I threw a couple new discs in there, and that was one of them. So I give it the thumbs up, Johnny V seal of approval.
Wow,
I know.
that means
That's going to go on the
absolutely-
Discraft website pretty soon.
No,
and
I think that means absolutely nothing
It
in
really
the disc
means
golf
nothing.
community, unfortunately. So I know earlier I referenced just how busy and how big and huge that the scene is in Minnesota. I feel like Iowa has a lot of the same things going for them. How often would you say you travel into Iowa? Do you have to that often, or does Minnesota and other areas keep you busy? How often are you traveling into Iowa for events every year?
It literally all depends like how many A or B tiers they have, or because I mean I try to play every A tier that Iowa has. They have the Rumble, Des Moines Challenge, probably one of my favorite tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Titan, they have, and then like I also go to Wisconsin.
Yep.
Like I try to. It's mostly weekend. Like I said, I work during the week, so if it's a tournament, I try to be able to, so I can leave Friday night after work. I can go try to get a practice round in. It's only like 5 hours away. And then, I mean, we usually go from there. But I probably try to play 10 A tiers a year. I mean, and then other tournaments throughout whenever I'm not out of town.
So, yeah, you came into town for the Standing Rocks and won that earlier this year. That's a very large B tier here in Wisconsin. One of the favorites for a lot of us on those really wonderful courses. So, and then a couple second places at the Des Moines Challenge and the Heiser Holiday, and then a win at the 34th annual Riverside Open, and then at fourth place at the Majestic, which is a huge event. You lost to what was it, Kale, Kevin Jones, and Matt Bell. You beat the world champ Greg Barsby.
Yeah, Barsby, where you at?
So
I had a
joke.
little bit of luck at that last round. So,
but guess what? It'll come back to bite you later. That take the luck when you get it. So.
Exactly. You always got to roll with it. So let's assume everything is going to go great. I'm sure it will. Let's fast forward into 2020. And what do you think that will really mean to you when you're talking about touring full time? Like, does that mean an RV with a couple of friends, or does that mean in a car, or fly to big events and then travel a lot regionally? What does that mean to you if you're talking about going on the tour full time?
I mean, I want to hit up like all the big events that I can. I've been talking to Jordan Castro and Chris Clemens on trying to get in their little his little Ford Focus. Maybe see if he can. We can all put our money together and maybe upgrade to a bigger van or something like that. But I mean, like I said, I mean, it all depends on how much money I can make this year and save up for if I can go on tour or not.
Wow, that's. I mean, obviously that sounds like a lot of fun. How old are you, if you don't mind our asking?
I'm 25.
Okay, so if there's a time to do it, it's now.
No reason not to, man.
Yeah. What event specifically, or maybe a few events, would you be most looking forward to that you haven't had the chance to go participate in? Like when you're at home, or you're at a more regional event, and then there's something else going on in another part of the country that you just like, oh, I can't wait to get there. What comes to mind?
I've heard nothing but like good news about Waco, Memorial. I want another chance at Ledgestone again. I want to play Worlds. Probably Maple Hill.
Maple.
I want to go play that course. It's just that's probably one of my top 10 places that I want to play. So
it's awesome. Definitely get out there.
Is it just all too assumed that you think you'd enjoy yourself out at Milo and Beaver State Fling area? Have you been out there?
Oh, that is also another couple courses that I would love to play. They just all look so amazing, and I would just pretty much Castro would know hopefully where to go.
Yeah. Oh, he's got it all dialed.
Jordan's he's an experienced player these days. Now he's
exactly.
So Alex actually brings up something I was thinking about earlier. In the off season, or in the slightly slower disc golf season, we'll call it, in Minnesota, because we know there's an event just about every weekend, regardless of weather. I've seen a lot of Minnesota guys posting about being in some indoor facility, whether it's some kind of putting night or even just indoor driving and things of that nature. And then Alex wants to know about your workout plans in the gym. I think he's asking if you even lift or something. But what are some of the things in the winter months that you guys are doing over there in Minnesota? It looks like fun to be able to go and throw indoors. Is that what you do?
Yeah, they have we have a dome right where I live, right in Rosemount. It's like a dome with like I think 1.5 soccer fields. So it's not like you can throw drives, but you can practice up shots, you can practice putting. I mean, just anything to get off or to take off layers, so you're not putting with 6 layers on because it's -30 out. I mean,
yeah, yeah, having those opportunities. We have a few indoor type nights, and we've even been inside one of the golf domes here in Milwaukee in the dead of winter. And I mean, at first it's just an experience that's just awesome to have because it's so unique. And then after that, you're like, wow, I could really get used to this and integrate this into some form of a weekly actual training or workout routine of sorts. Is there anything, I guess let me rephrase that. How do you guys over in Minnesota, for instance, and yourself, a very serious player, how do you guys tackle the winter? Because some people can't even, conceptualize the idea of 3 degrees and a foot of snow. How do you tackle the wintertime disc golf season?
When there's about a foot of snow, hibernate. But
okay.
I mean, but on a serious note, we got long boots, long gaiters to put around your boots, and I mean, watch your footing because I mean, there's people you're gonna slip, and so it's a lot more standstills. You learn how to stand still. We do this Saturday, CP Dubs, and we play when there's a lot of snow on the ground. We play shorts there. And everything there is pretty much reachable. They're under like probably 400 feet. So you can everything's reachable, and you just do Saturday, starts at like 10 o'clock in Hastings. It's called CP Adams. It's called CP Adams. And Jake Brown and Ryder Scott run that. And it's just a bunch of Minnesotans, Wisconsin, nights, just all get together and go play.
Yeah, and I remember when I first started playing when I was a teenager, there was only a couple courses in the area, and you always just they pulled them out for the winter time, and it's like, okay, well, you're gonna put your discs away in November or October, and you're not gonna touch them again until like March or April, and then they started leaving one of the courses in over the winter, and then once I discovered winter golf, I'm like, yeah, heck yeah, why wouldn't I be playing, still every weekend? But it's a totally different beast, and if you're not in the area that offers that kind of climate and snow, a lot of people just think we're crazy. So,
yeah, it's definitely a lot of layers, hand warmers, gloves.
What would you say, again, thinking about either, well, oh, sorry.
Poor connection.
Oh,
yep, you got a little bit of a poor connection. You're breaking up just a little bit.
We'll see if it clears up here in a second, and then I've got my next one for you. Or not. I'm not sure if you can hear us. You there, Terry? Sounds weird to say that, by the way. Feels weird to me.
Yeah?
I never say my own name. I guess I do.
Well, I assume when you're talking to other Terrys, you do.
Maybe.
I'm going to bring us into this one. We'll wait till his connection reconnects.
Before once that reconnects, we'll get back with him.
Pop back right over to him.
So, what else you got going on here, Johnny? Why don't you pull up? I'd love to see, actually, and that will kind of lead to another question, what we're going to see him for sure registered and signed up for here for the rest of the year. I know, as he said, he's pretty much a weekend warrior that goes out and, finds stuff that he can travel to and then get back.
He's coming over to Wisconsin for the Silver Cup.
Yep.
Which is a huge event in the Midwest.
That's next weekend.
Correct. And we've got the Forest Fury Open, which I'm not exactly sure where that one is. The Twin Town Throwdown, then coming back into Wisconsin for the 27th annual Mad City Open. Then just barely over the border here in Wisconsin to the Lake Superior Open. And the 4th annual Shoot the Moon Classic.
That's in Viroqua, Wisconsin, I'd be willing to bet.
Oh, is it? Is that the one in Viroqua?
Yeah, Viroqua. Yep.
Viroqua.
Oh, is it Qua?
Viroqua.
Wow.
Yeah, Q-U-A. That'd be Qua.
I don't know if you pronounce it that way. Minocqua? Same thing, I know. All right. Well, we're going to see if we can get Terry back here in a second. Looks like we may have lost him indefinitely, and we'll have to hold off on anything else that we have for him. Matt from UDisc is on the board asking if we have talked about, let me see if this question comes through. Did Terry talk about Team Dream Slinger? And I don't believe we have, and I don't know if that's going to be appropriate or not, but we'll find out.
Not sure.
Maybe UDisc Matt will give us some insight, and we'll find out if that's something that we can talk about.
You want to go ahead and message him and just let him know that when he's ready, he can call back into the show, and we'll pick up.
I'm guessing all of the other Minnesota fans all got on the internet to watch him, and
they probably broke the internet.
Just broke the internet is what I'm assuming.
Well, I want to ask him which Minnesota guy, because there's a lot of good Minnesota players, is his favorite to beat.
Ooh,
is it Alex? Is it Kale?
Dan Reynoso?
Not AJ Risley. Jordan Castro. I mean, they've got a pretty solid group of players over there, and I want to know who his favorite is to beat, particularly. I mean, it's got to be good to beat Alex because you see him every day at work, and you can just rub it in day after day after day. But I can't imagine there's a feeling that's much better than beating Kale.
Yeah, well, Alex says Alex is on the board at the moment, Geisinger, and has said that, it's me for sure, he says. So maybe they have a little spirited competition that goes back and forth between one another. Eric Bush says, we all love beating Alex. Well, I assume it would be nice anyway. Sounds like Eric still wants to put Alex on his BL, as we like to call it, way back in the day.
Yes.
All right. Looks like we've got Terry back in the Disc Baron Digital Green Room, and now he's live with us.
Thanks a lot coming back, Terry. We were just saying that there's a ton of really great players over in Minnesota. You've got Kale, Jordan Castro, Alex Geisinger, yourself. Who your favorite is to beat? Which one is it? Is it Alex? Alex thinks it's him, but
It is Alex.
All right.
Yeah.
Definitely, probably to beat Alex.
Now, is that because you get to like basically rub it in for weeks at a time, probably working with him?
No, not that reason. It's probably just because I mean, every single day we play together, day in and day out. We learn from each other, like our mental game has gotten stronger. I mean, every single time we play, we both get better, and it's just if finally I'm trying to be able to step out of his shadow and hopefully start my own.
He's got a big shadow too. He's a
He does.
He's a large guy.
He does.
Now we were
And
also
he can throw really far too.
Yeah.
So it's
I was going to say,
hard.
how far Alex is known for being one of the furthest throwers in the game. Where do you stack up compared to Alex as far as your distance?
Noodle arm status.
So probably what, 450, something like that?
Yeah, around there.
Oh yeah, noodle arm. Oh,
Yeah.
this guy.
So we were taking a look at where we're going to see. We're doing a little creeping on the rest of the year. We see there's at least 3 events you're going to be here in Wisconsin. Really, no surprise. But does it just go without saying that we don't see you registered for a Worlds because of the full-time job status? Is that?
Yes and no. It's actually my girlfriend's birthday during Worlds, and yeah. So I'm gonna take that week off and hang out with her and go on a houseboat trip. So
Okay. That sounds like fun. So USDGC is one that obviously is on a lot of people's list as well. I don't see a lot of qualifiers necessarily, but if there was that opportunity, have you thought about a Monday qualifier? Have you thought about traveling to some of the events where you could potentially earn a spot? Is that a goal or something that you have in the immediate future?
It honestly, if I honestly don't know where any of the qualifiers are.
Yep.
But if I could get that week off of work, that would be a lot of fun. I'd go down there and just, I mean, try to qualify. I've been the last 2 years and I love going. It's just, I mean, it's so much fun. The course is beautiful. The tournament is amazing. And I mean, just everyone there is all about disc golf. So it's even more fun.
What has that day come where either one or the other disc golfer can have off, you or Alex at work? And is that going to be an awkward, what kind of awkward, conversation happens? Is that an HR awkward conversation, or do you two rock, paper, scissors for it, or how does that work?
So if we both are trying to get off for the same tournament and another person has the day off and either me or Alex have the day off and the other person can't, we usually both just say, okay, we'll just not take the day off and we'll get done with our routes early and leave early.
Okay.
Our job is our boss is pretty flexible with, as long as we get our work done, they're just like, hey, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, that could be kind of funny. Like, you stay home this weekend. I'm going to go play.
Come January, they're all filling out their time off requests, waiting for the tour to drop.
That's literally what happened this year. We had to make a new rule to not be able to do that. So
HR has to address. There's a new page in the HR manual just for disc golfers.
Yeah, well, or I could see one of the two of you. Okay, sending old Jason Wilder over there, the state coordinator. A sneak peek at the Minnesota schedule or something before it's fully published. I could see that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just trying to get the edge up. I love it. So one of our final questions, or as we start to wrap up, would be, you're talking about the tour and you've just mentioned your distance, for instance, and some of the new discs, but where do you feel like a weakness is? Something you really want to concentrate and improve on specifically, whether it's the rest of this year or you think just in general. What's something that you're looking to specifically focus on and turn up, so to speak?
Throwing an Annie. I'm terrible at it.
Like a pure Anheuser or a flip to Annie type shot, or both?
I can throw a hyzer flip to Annie, but I cannot throw, just like I don't have the touch to throw the Annie shot. or I mean, I can do it. It's just more difficult than just throwing a hyzer.
Okay, now, so then for me, the natural follow-up now is, how good's your forehand?
It's gotten a lot better this year.
Okay, because for the most part, some people will make up for, you're not proficient at, and of course you there's going to be situations where just then Anheuser is still preferred over a really good forehand. We all know there's situations that call for one shot or the other, but if you still have a forehand that's adequate to good, at least that can maybe make up for a deficiency on the Annie perspective, huh?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'd love to hear any of the sponsors, any shout outs or thanks, anyone else you want to give before we let you go here tonight, Terry.
Thank you. Like I said, go Discraft, Airborne, Upper Park, and Team High Bridge.
All right. Well, sounds good. Well, Terry.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you here in Wisconsin a couple more times over the next few weeks between Silver Cup and Mad City and Lake Superior. So try to leave a black disc or two for some Wisconsin guys. and
I'll do my best, but no promises.
Yeah,
awesome.
Your grin says otherwise. All right, pal. Well, we appreciate you joining us tonight. As always, we have so much love for everyone in Minnesota. You guys are just being across the border and seeing our players go there, and more often your players come here, and having similar courses and the passion for the game, and so many great competitors over there. It's always a fun little rivalry, and we appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All right, have a good night.
Thanks
See you, Terry.
a lot, Terry.
You as well.
All righty. Terry Roethlisberger joining us here tonight.
No relation to Ben Roethlisberger that we know of.
If so, I feel like that's a disclaimer he should put out, or an announcement he should put out right away. Yes, I am his fourth cousin, or whatever it might be. I think he should tell everyone right away. You should open with that. So thank you so much. Now Jordan Castro's out on the board, as well as Dan Harbeck was a super chatter. Joe Durnin. Thank you, Joe. Also a super chatter. I think we saw Steve Harmeyer and, of course, Disc Baron. Thanks to all of our super chatters thus far tonight. And no, it is not too late to become a super chatter. Just go out and find it.
Or a Patreon supporter.
Yeah, you could do that too.
We're a fan of either.
We appreciate them all. Yeah, exactly. Each and every one of you. All right, Johnny. So around the rest of the world, I know we kind of breezed over a few of the stats and details that we just saw this weekend taking place in Iowa. A huge. Well, let's go to another A tier. Yeah, you were just on it. That's a good call. An event I was at a number of years ago. They, at the time, just had the one course. I think they've talked about expanding into a second. I'm not sure if that's fully ready and playable yet. But King of the Hill in Alaska, this might be the heaviest hitting competition that we've seen up there in the last few years. Brian Schweberger's been going for many years. I know last year, I think Dave Felberg was there. There always seems to be one or two or three really, really good players. And this year, I feel like there was even more than that. And
I think a lot of the people that stayed on the West Coast, rather than coming over this way for like the CCR or the Des Moines, just kind of made probably maybe a little deal and went up there, because we saw, and winning, Minnesota's own Kale LaVisca taking home $1,324, shooting a 38 under par. His round ratings were 1037, 1023, 1009. And he finished it up, getting the win with 1,050. Looked like Jeremy Coling took second place, shooting a 36 under par. That's 2 strokes. And Kale beat Jeremy by 3 strokes on the final round. So it looks like it was maybe a little comeback there. We saw Jeremy shoot 1046, 1023, 1018, and 1024 to win $916. Nate Sexton takes third. Sonny Ashby fourth. Tied for fifth is Jason Yamada and James Beckner. So congratulations on all those open players.
I think that was a Mason, not a Jason.
Oh, was it a Mason?
Just to get it out there.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mason Yamada. My bad.
No worries. Just your kid's name. No big deal.
The funny thing is, right underneath that is James Beckner. I think I just kind of blurred them together. Open women. No doubts. Paige Pierce winning this one, shooting a 4 under par, 968, 970, 930, and 938, beating Rebecca Cox by 5 strokes. Rebecca won $500. Third place, Amy Lewis, and fourth place, Shanasty Stewart.
Shay Nasty.
Congratulations, Shay Nasty from Anchorage, Alaska herself.
Yes, awesome to see. So I'm excited to hear some of the details. I know it was Paige's first time going up there, for instance. I think Kale's first time. It might have been a number of those other players' first time, at least at that event or in Alaska. And it was so much fun being up there a few years ago. I know they want to continue to grow and have that scene thrive. It's like a lot of it's like a handful of our great events. They're great events, but sometimes when they're so far off the beaten path, it's hard to get a draw up to that spot almost no matter what they do. They have phenomenal payout with a great course and a lot of fun. It's just tough for our touring players, most of which live out of a vehicle, and just not really practical for them to drive all the way up there. So you find them, all flying up there, and it's a spot that I'd love to see continue to grow. It's just a matter of the logistics. And I know I saw a post or two from Alyssa Van Lannen, who was up there as well. And, she was, of course, taking in a little bit more of the scenery and, doing the photography and video action that she's so skilled at doing. And she's like, I can't wait to come back. So really, really solid stuff going on up there. Yeah, I'm going to move on. I think I have a secret, but I don't think I'm supposed to share that one.
Well,
so
that's why they're called secrets,
yes.
Terry. So
I don't know if it's a secret or not.
Share.
So I'm gonna
share it or you don't.
I'm gonna guess that I shouldn't.
Let's touch on 2 more A tiers before we get into the major that happened this past week. So real quick, the St. Louis Open, driven by Innova, out of St. Louis, Missouri. Kevin Jones takes that one over Alex Russell and Nico Lacastro. So congratulations to Kevin. Kevin still, racking up those A-tier wins for sure, shooting 1038, 1014, and 1042. Over on the FPO side, Missy Gannon beats Cynthia Riccati. So congratulations. That is a 9-stroke margin of victory.
Is that the Smashbox bump she got from being on the show a few weeks ago?
It's so hard to say.
Is that a stretch?
It's a little stretch.
I'll give it to us. Smashbox bump. Nice job, Missy.
I'm not going to give that to us. Just in general, nice job, Missy. And we'll talk about the Discraft CCR Open. This one had a couple big names you may recognize. And one little surprise. Mr. Paul Macbeth not winning. Double G taking this one home, shooting a 37 under par, beating Paul Macbeth by 2 strokes and besting him by 4 on that final round. So Double G having a phenomenal third round. Seriously, if you get the chance, go out and check that out. I believe Double G had like 3 eagles in 4 or 5 holes. And I know some people are saying that these might be a little bit soft on the pars, but still a phenomenal job nonetheless. Doesn't matter what the scorecard says. It's really the total number of throws, and his were less than Paul Macbeth. So congratulations. 34 under par was Tim Barham. 4th place, Chandler Fry. 5th place, Andrew Marweed. Congratulations to the top 5 there. What a great event in general. And over the Open Women, we have Jessica Weiss. So that's a
not a bad weekend for the camper.
So who buys dinner? Winner buys dinner in a car usually.
Yep.
They both win. So do they buy each other dinner? Do they just split the bill?
I don't know. I bet you Double G cooked up something.
Double G sporting that.
I'm guessing he cooked up something. Double G is a master on the grill.
He is.
So I'm guessing maybe they got the steaks extra thick instead this week or something. Either way,
then with the ribeye over the fillet this time.
very, very impressive weekend for the camper. I'm not sure if they have a camper name. If so, I don't know it yet. But very, very impressive win for both Jessica and Double G to take it down over at the CCR.
2nd place in the FPO field, Sarah Hokum. 3rd place, Vanessa Van Dyken. 4th place, Lauren Butler. And 5th place, Erica Stinchcomb. So congratulations. 6th place, I don't want to forget, Hannah Macbeth.
You could have forgot her. That's reading a little extra low just because she
I did.
Because she's a friend of the show.
She is a friend of the show, and she was talking about having a rough, I think it was a rough final hole or two or something like that. And, those are some of the things that happen.
Yeah, clean it all up there, Hannah.
That's right, Hannah. Get it together.
And also worth noting, 18 open women, and that speaks volumes, and I know this personally, that the Michigan women's disc golf scene is great.
Phenomenal.
There are a number of big events there, and the support network and the however their farming system of gathering and highlighting and elevating women over in Michigan there's something to be said. Now, again, I know there's a number of pros there that are on tour that came to town, but I still look at a bunch of the women on that list that I know are from Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And to have an 18-woman A-tier field, it feels silly that we're celebrating that because it's still just 18, but 18 is a pretty sizable number.
That's a really good A-tier.
Yeah, I mean, I was in Finland at the Europe's largest ever event, and they had 16 pro women. So here we are, looking at this event that had 18. I wish there would have been some coverage of that with such a large women's field. I don't believe that there was any recorded coverage over there.
I've not heard of any.
It would be great if there was. I'm sure Jessica's wishing the same right now as well. But very, very impressive. Nice job over there, guys. And then we move
all the way
over the hill.
Well,
yeah.
That's
technically,
technically it is over some mountains.
Smuggler's Notch Hill.
Are you calling the competitors over the hill?
They all are.
They are over the Masters Hill. Congratulations to David Fehlberg on his Pro Masters victory. His first? Right?
No, his second.
Is his second?
He's
Pro Masters?
back-to-back. He won last year.
Okay.
In Kansas City.
He
Check
did.
my
That's
blog,
right.
bro.
Bro, I don't
there.
check your blog. So congratulations, Dave Fehlberg. I couldn't remember. I never know how old that guy is. So
he's just
ageless
actually,
wonder.
I think he's just like literally a few weeks older than us.
Yeah, I believe he is as well. So congratulations, Dave Fehlberg. No questions about that. 22 under par, beating Barry Schultz by what looks to be 9 strokes. And 6 of those came in the finals.
Do you think Barry was going just all out?
I assume
maybe,
so.
Or did Fehlberg just play it? Well, no, I mean, Barry went 31 on the finals, just a straight score of 31.
Mm-hmm.
McRae went 32, and David went 33. So Fehlberg may have just slayed.
He went ham.
Wow. Yeah, he may have just slayed it, and I apologize. I believe Central Coast has recently released the post-production footage.
I don't know if they've released the finals. I thought they released the
spoiler
final
alert, David
round.
Fehlberg wins.
Yeah.
But it's, at first I remember looking at that the other day and thinking, wow, was everyone just going for everything? No, it looks like whether they were or weren't, Dave Fehlberg clearly was just on fire.
He truly was. So congratulations, Dave, on your second Pro Masters victory. Like I said, second place, Barry Schultz. Third place, Johnny McRae. Fourth place, David Madruga. Then we go to fifth place, always the bridesmaid, Stephen Rico. Tied for sixth, Brad Ramsey and Kenneth Taberski. Eighth place, Greg Grutenboer, tied with Ray Johnson. Oh my God, these are all guys that we've seen and played with. I feel so old.
Yeah.
10th, I'm going to go down to 10th place here. Craig Cutler, congratulations to Craig.
It looks as if, and I have not gotten the story since returning from Finland, Steve, I believe, was in a tie for fourth, and I'm assuming there was a playoff with David. And obviously David took said playoff because he was then in the final 9. So, Stephen.
Poor Mr. Rico. All right, let's move down to the Pro Masters Women's 40+. It's not even fair. The ageless wonder, Elaine King, taking home another major, another victory. I'm sorry, Schwebby, you will never catch her. So you'd want to say that, no offense, but I know she can play a division different than this one at this event.
You mean pro women? Oh.
She could play, not I said at this event.
I know.
She could be playing, and she probably will play pro women. at Worlds.
Yeah, maybe.
And I mean, she beats this field by 15 strokes, shooting in 939, 935, 972, and 929, and then picked up 7 more strokes. I'm sorry, 5 over Natalie, 7 over Sue Stevens in the finals. Just standing ovation for Elaine King, seriously. Second place, Sue Stevens. Third place, Natalie Holokoy. Fourth place, Sandy Gast. Fifth place, Christina Silman. So congratulations to the top 5. Congratulations to all the competitors in general. We're going to go through a couple more of these fields just because this is a major. We want to talk a little bit about some of the other winners. We're not going to go too deep. Pro Masters 50 plus. Another guy who just keeps racking up these wins, Ron Converse. Congratulations, Ron, shooting 38, besting his nearest competitors by 4 strokes over Jonathan Baldwin and Kevin Babbitt. So congratulations to Ron Converse. Pro Masters 55 plus, Mitch McClellan, who I saw the final putt on, I think it was someone's Instagram or Facebook Live
the PDGAs.
Might have been the PDGA. So congratulations, Mitch. PDG number 3566 over Eric Rainey, who has such a big PDG number at 41947. So congratulations, Mitch, on your victory. Let's talk about Pro Masters Women 55 plus. Pam Renke, but it says here Pamaflage. So congratulations, Pam. PDG number 6439, beating Christine Hellstrom, PDG number 3722. Beat her by 2 strokes. It was a very close match there. And Pam, in the 4th round, ended up beating Christine by 2 strokes. So they were tied going into the final round. That would have been a battle to see. Congratulations. Pro Masters 60 plus. Now we're getting to some of these small PDG numbers. PDG number 962, David Greenwell. Just slapped around Greg Hosfeld by 2 strokes. So congratulations. Those two have had some epic battles in the past, I can only imagine.
I believe this is Greenwell's
10th overall world title. That's, wow, amazing. So congratulations, Dave Greenwell, on your win. Pro Masters Women 60 plus, Lori Cloyce Chupa. Pro Masters 65 plus, Johnny Sias, PDGA 1700, beating Alan Beaver.
Both Hall of Famers.
I was about to say both Hall of Fame. I looked up at my wall, but I've taken all my Hall of Fame discs down and packaged them away. But yes, both Hall of Famers. Another Hall of Famer, Pro Master 70 plus, Dr. Rick Vokes. Pro Master 75 plus, Pete May. Is Pete May in the Hall of Fame?
I do not believe so,
Don't
but
believe
he's got a dozen worlds or so.
A dozen worlds. And Pro Masters 80 plus, Carlos Rigby. Congratulations. Rated 811, shooting a 39 over par, beating Donald Stevens. So congratulations on all of our new major winners. I'm a little surprised. I did not see Sylvia's name out here. I was looking.
I was looking
for
see
it.
her.
So
Either in the.
And maybe there just wasn't a field, and she didn't want to play up, or
yeah, that's possible.
Also,
on the women's side, Sue Stevens with the lefty ace.
Yeah, getting on SportsCenter.
And getting on SportsCenter, yeah. So nice work there. Central Coast, who was out there getting some of that action, and then the ace made it to SportsCenter. So very cool to see. And again, although we didn't get a lot of the down and dirty details from the week, I can only just assume that Jeff Spring and the entire PDGA staff and everyone out there, I would have to assume, put on a really good World Championships or a great World Championships. I'm sad I wasn't there. Of course, I was really blessed with this opportunity to be in Finland.
And you've been at the Pro Masters for the past couple of years.
Yeah, I have been at the event the last 2 or 3 years in some capacity. So, and Smuggler's Notch, a gorgeous place, and I would have loved to cover any or all of the action out there that I could have. But I was, thankfully, I was also blessed to have the opportunity to go to Finland and learn what I did there. As Johnny and I, read down some of those lists, we realized those were most of the people that we looked up to and continue to look up to, people that were dominating. Dr. Rick Vokes and Dave Greenwell, for instance, were both winning tournaments every weekend or every other weekend when we entered the game. And Barry Schultz, growing up in, here in Wisconsin, Barry Schultz was the man to even try to stay within 20 of on any given event.
There's a funny thread going on Disc Golf Course Review that some guy is just like, hey, tell me your experiences about your first ever tournament. And I remember I went back to the PDGA because I do remember my first ever tournament. It's the 1997 Fox Valley Open, but it wasn't listed in my thing. And I went back and I looked, and they have my name spelt wrong, so it wasn't linked to me. But I remember back in the day, you would get mixed divisions. So myself, as a true amateur, first tournament, I got to play with Barry Schultz at Plowman Park, and I believe he beat me by like 11 or 17
on the front nine.
No, on the whole thing. And I just remember watching this guy being like, wow, like this guy's he's so good. He's putting everything near the basket.
Yeah.
And for those of you that know, I mean, this was many years ago, and the discs were a little different. Plowman is a much simpler course these days with a lot of the disc technology we have, but just watching Barry pure and park almost every shot, he ended up, of course, winning the event. And it was an honor every time you got to play with Barry. I got to play with Barry one time in a second round, and he beat me by 16 strokes.
Was there only 3 in the field?
No, it was a Mad City Open and it was Elver Park. I shot a phenomenal round.
Yeah, I think you shot 4 under. I remember that.
Something like that. And it was when you have that day, like everything's hitting right, everything's going well. I was on like the second or third card in Open, and then we went over to High Stand Park from Elver, and Barry beat me by 16 strokes, which he should. Yeah, I think he shot 8 under. I shot 8 over, if I remember correctly. And it was not a great second half to that day, but still a memorable experience, clearly.
Well, I want to thank you. Quick shout out to Zach Pajek, who's out there on the board. And as we were just learning for the first time the details with Steve Rico, he has found the tweet that was sent from the PDGA account earlier that said, quote, "There should have been a playoff between Steve Rico and Kevin Madruga for," I think it should have been David, but anyway, David Madruga for the final 9 4th place spot, but Rico declined to compete. Madruga is in by default, end quote.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Knowing Steve the way we do, Steve, depending on where the field was, so Steve going into that looked like he was probably down, I mean, take 25 from Fellberg, that puts him at about 297. So I mean, is that right? 287, 297, 317 minus 25.
292.
292. Thank you.
Yeah, 292.
And Fellberg at 300. I'm sorry, and Rico at 300. That was an 8 strokes in a final 9. I can see Steve just being like, I'm not catching him. I don't need to play this final 9 because the difference in money to Steve probably doesn't matter, the $200, and allowing David to just be like, it's yours, bro. Like go for it. Go make a run at it. Just that's the kind of guy Steve is, and it's not like a I give up or a malicious thing. It's probably more just, no, man, you do it. Like,
yeah, I'll have to reach out, and I'd love to get the exact sentiment as to what did take place there. That was interesting. Again, I didn't hear any of the specifics to that, so it will be interesting to know.
Oh, Dave is Team Legacy as well.
Yes,
so
that I knew.
I did not know that part,
Yeah.
so that it makes even more sense to me.
That is, and Steve Rico's been in plenty of Final 9s at Worlds.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Okay.
Never in a Masters one, though.
No, never in a Masters one. You're exactly right.
We can stick with the Masters theme a little bit and talk about some of the discussion that went on, as we always kind of get. Some of the Masters I saw were a little disappointed in payout.
Okay.
And I saw a couple of them were disappointed in media coverage. Felt that there should have been more media coverage or more focus on them, and more, because I believe CCG went there for the last 2 rounds. I'm not 100% sure on that. Maybe it was
might have been the last 3.
Might have been the last 3. And just the what some of them considered a smaller payout than they felt a major deserved, and unfortunately the field was small.
Yeah, which has not been, that's not unique. The field at the World Championships, since they've split them, have of course made things a little more compact.
Mm-hmm.
I believe if you click on Dave and then go to his previous year, I'd be curious to know. So I think I just saw 210 for Smuggler's Notch, and in 2018 at the Pro Masters Worlds, dare I say it was 154-ish, if some random number comes to mind. Johnny's a click away from knowing.
There were 54.
No, 137 total players. Yeah,
yes.
wow. So 17 less than I thought. And you're talking about Kansas City in a hotbed, in central part of the country, and there were 137 last year, as opposed to I think we just saw 210 were in the overall Pro Masters. Or I'm sorry, Pro Masters Worlds. No, 162 total players. Sorry,
162 total players.
So,
there was one less Masters player this year, and Fehlberg took home about $1,000 less this year. So that has obviously a lot to do with added cash and this,
correct,
and a lot of other things that can kind of come into play. But I'm going to get on my soapbox here a little bit and say that as far as media goes, I don't know. I don't really. Sorry, I don't. Most people don't care.
Say it.
Most people don't care. Like,
okay.
It's great to have them on film for a lot of reasons. For posterity reasons. For the fact that
archival.
It is a major, and some of these guys are some of the fathers of our, forefathers of our sport. But I don't know where we draw the line. If you want to make an argument over, yes, the better play is Dave, the better play period is Dave Fehlberg, Barry Schultz, Johnny McRae, and I know the fourth round we'll just say was Steve Rico or David, but why not Converse, Baldwin, Babbitt, and Patrick Brown? There's a lot of fields that quote unquote could deserve coverage, and I'm glad the PDGA stepped up and provided and helped CCDG out to cover that, because that's nothing, that's not going to draw in a ton of eyeballs. I think I last looked and CCDG's third round had about 20,000 views on it. So it's getting okay numbers, but I can't speak to anything about the payout because I don't know any of the details. So anything I say is speculative on that aspect, and I'd rather not. But what I will say is that I think it's tough covering or being a TD for these pro majors, whether it's Pro Masters, Pro Worlds. There's very little return on your investment for this, because there aren't AM fields to help make up the difference. There aren't, these guys aren't coming to buy your plastic. The fundraiser discs are not nearly as sought after, just because of, oh, cool, it's a 2019 Masters fundraiser, or I can get this 2019 Pro Worlds fundraiser where, where all my favorite guys I like to watch every week are. It's unfortunate. I wish there was more to go around for everybody, but as with all discussions, the PDGA needs to pick and choose where the dollars are spent, and right now, we're seeing where the smart dollars are spent, and it's with the MPO fields. The fact that they covered Pro Masters and not Pro Masters women, and I'm not saying this is CTG, but in general that there was coverage there. I mean, there's another big argument to be made. Like, how come? Why is this age protected division more valuable than another age protected division? It's such a slippery slope that we can go down, and I don't necessarily know if it's the right move. I have Chuck Kennedy was on one of the web boards kind of discussing the future of Masters Worlds, and some ideas that were thrown out were, and I think possibly for 2021 maybe, or maybe even 2020, that combining AM and Pro Masters.
Yeah, I feel like that was a very big discussion point last year. as we were looking at the 137 people that were at the Pro Masters Worlds last year in Kansas City, and someone had said, well, what if people like playing with other people and associating, and it's easier to schedule and to plan for. When you have everywhere from 6-year-olds to 76-year-olds at an AM or a pro event, that's a very diverse group, of course, to try to accommodate for in terms of extracurriculars, things that interest them and otherwise. Now, what if they instead took all the Masters divisions, Pro and AM, and put them on the same week? So everyone's 40 plus. You're still going to have AM caliber and pro caliber, but at least there's going to be a lot of similarities that they'll probably share when it comes to extracurricular activities and just overall taste and feel, and maybe a little bit of the scheduling in terms of how many rounds are getting played by different age groups, courses. Like, there's so many things that do make sense. I would love to see that. And that may or may not be what Chuck was alluding to.
Correct. And I don't know. I don't think there's been any decisions made. I don't believe it's happening for 2020, but I think that there's a good chance we maybe see it for 2021 Worlds. And it just makes sense to kind of maybe have a Masters Worlds where you have AM and Pro, to have an Amateur Worlds, or you'd almost have to call it Advanced Worlds at that point, because you would have advanced men and advanced women. And then you have a Junior Worlds and a Pro Worlds, or Open Worlds, depending on what you wanted to call it. Obviously, we've always used Pro Worlds, but it's there was other discussions about, why anyone would want to run Pro Worlds, and maybe Chuck had said, well, what would make maybe a lot of sense is to put move the top advanced cards, or not cards, but fields, the advanced field for men and women, and put that with Pro Worlds.
Oh.
And I told Chuck, I said, I don't like that idea personally. I like the focus on MPO and FPO. Plus, this year, the AM Worlds field is 288 men and 47 women. You're talking about suddenly having to add, rather than just having 2 championship caliber courses for Pro Worlds, suddenly you have to throw in at least 3 more courses, probably 4, for these other pools and fields. And Chuck's idea was, well, that would help it make it more worthwhile for someone to run the event, because you can help make up some of the costs. My personal opinion, keep it Pro Worlds, and I would like to see a rotating Worlds between 3 or 4 locations in the US, and then every 5th year or something, send it international, and just set, and I know what should and could and would and other people's money, but I'd still love to see a dedicated PDGA group just run Worlds. Just work with, kind of farm out the location, and then have them just flat out take it over. And more so than, right now the PDGA basically goes on, they do a lot of things behind the scenes during the rounds and during the event, but a lot of the pre-work is all done by the local group, by your local club or whomever is running it. I'd like to see more of that shift to the PDGA and take over things like attacking sponsorship. And, because it's to me, it's so tough to sell. You could look at it 2 ways. A local club isn't going to get any sort of big national sponsorship, and the PDGA probably is less likely to get local sponsorship. So, whereas if you go to a local Subway and say, hey, guess what? We're bringing in, 200 people here. It's easier for the local club who might have a connection, but like I said, the local club isn't going to probably have the influence that maybe the PDGA will have for a larger sponsor. And I'd love to see, and everybody says it, us look to get bigger sponsors for some of our majors, whether that's a hotel chain, whether that's a particular sandwich shop, whether it's whatever that may be. I'd like more resources from the PDGA put towards that for our majors. But again, there's 1,000 cogs that need to turn the right way for any of this to happen. And if it's one thing I like to think, I'm a realistic person, and I understand some of the boundaries that we have.
I think the long and short of the real discussion is when you have the world championships, AM, pro, even junior, it's always going to be a challenge because whatever group that you're in, you're likely or can easily say, but what about the spotlight and what about the focus on us? And I think that can be spread across all the divisions and is said, I don't want to say all too often, but is said all the time. And it's just an impossible feat because it's great when you're in a division and you become world champion and you had 4 people in your division. That's a very, very small sample size of our overall sport and the emphasis that then can be dedicated to it. And when we're dealing with so many people, sponsors, media crews, staffing, all of those people that are getting pulled in every single direction and the resources are just that limited, it's really tough because no matter what group you're in, you're always thinking, well, it'd be great if there was more emphasis on us. And that I think is probably the toughest part. I mean, they made a really tough decision a year ago or so that at a certain age, they were no longer going to offer certain juniors. I don't know if it's 6 and below or 8 and below, something like that, at a world championships. And of course, there are parents that are really, really upset about that, saying my kid doesn't have the opportunity to play in that age group now at a world championships. But the bigger picture was some of the other logistics with the staffing and so on and so forth. It's a really, really tough position that I don't envy anyone to be in. I do think the professionals at our pro worlds, I love the MPO and the FPO exclusivity. I'd love to see just to become a Masters Worlds with AM and pros mixed in. Yeah, and where does that leave advanced, or an advanced worlds or the worlds for amateurs that could possibly stand on its own? I mean, it's interesting to think that the PDGA has really said, from a lot of logistics and just resources, that a combined worlds isn't really a good solution anymore.
Even though we've had couple people reach out and ask to do it.
But it's even there. Just think, you could be potentially now crowning, assuming the juniors aren't there, you could be crowning 24 or 26 world champions in one day. It's just simply impossible to have a highlight on every single one of those world champions that ultimately gets crowned. It's tough. So real quick, I just did a super quick search. My subscriber base is not as large as Central Coast, of course, but my videos from last year, I was at the 2018 Pro Masters Worlds for the final 9. And there ultimately was 2,800 views on the FP40 final 9. Spoiler alert, that even contained a playoff, so it was even extra special. 2,800 views, 2,803
That's probably
views.
my fault. Didn't I do catch cam for that?
No. It's someone almost as tall as you did, though.
No.
Nova 6'4". Was catch cam out there. So 2,800 views on that final 9. And then on the final 9 on the men's side, which included some incredible legends, as we were just talking about, including Dave Felberg, of course, and Mike Mosier. On the men's side, MP40 last year, I think it was 17,947 views. So we'll call it 18,000 views.
Yeah, and CCDG.
And it had Felberg, Schultz, McRae, and Mike Mosier. 4 of the most winning players of all time with over 1,000 combined wins among them. And it has 18,000 views.
Yeah, and CCGG's, I think, like I said, their third round had 20,000 or something, and it'll probably climb up, maybe hit 30,000, but there's just not a lot of demand for it, unfortunately. And as disc golf, if disc golf continues to expand and grow, those numbers will hopefully continue to increase as well. But we've seen that I don't see a big change in percentage of viewers wanting to watch Masters. So if they're getting 10% of the views now, and we have 1 million views to have, they're getting 100,000 views. If we double it, they're going to get 200,000 views, but the MPO is going to get 180,000 or whatever it is. It's just there's less of a demand to watch
the non-premier divisions.
Yeah, the non-premier divisions. And even though some of these guys will go out and compete for wins in the open field, it's just seen as a lesser division to our open players.
And dare we make the silly analogy in comparison to the PGA Senior Tour?
Mhm.
Like, seriously, look at the coverage and the exposure and the following of that tour as opposed to what we see on the PGA Tour. I'm guessing it's literally fraction
Mhm.
of what we see. And so it's not just our sport. No matter how good or bad you are, you naturally gravitate to watching the best of the best. Now, you may dabble in some of the people that are your skill level or your age or whatever the case might be. You will probably dabble in some of that. But at the end of the day, you're more likely to watch the best of the very best, however it's presented to you.
Mhm.
So, and Johnny V and I now, we're also of Masters age, so this is, of course, no disrespect. We can give all the praise and accolades to all of these friends and godfathers, forefathers, all of that of disc golf that have come. I have nothing but the utmost respect for every one of these players as I grew up with them. But the fact is, the limelight is not on you, and it's not going to be unless you're competing and battling in the MPO field. And that doesn't mean I don't like you any less. It's just the reality. So, and to finish that thought, like you were kind of saying earlier, where do you draw that line? Well, the best amateurs in the world deserve all the spotlight in the world. They're our future. The best juniors in the world deserve the best coverage in the world. They're how we really grow the sport. We have an underserving of women that play the game. We really need to put everybody has what they think is the top demand in the resource, and the resources don't fit what they feel like is the demand. And it is what it is. And I guess someone would say, well, that's a pretty crappy attitude to say it is what it is, but it's the reality of the numbers. Just check the numbers. They're there. So congratulations though.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see I'll be interested mostly to wrap up the Masters Worlds conversation, just to see how it evolves and what they took a big chance a couple years ago. Grand Rapids, thanks to Disc Baron, tells us Grand Rapids in the opening year when they did split off the Pro Masters Worlds had 177. That was the first time doing it. It was in a very, of course, a very disc golf rich state in Michigan. 177, 137, and 150 or so. I don't know who considers that a success or not. And if the staff and the PDGA consider that a massive success, then I'm good with it. But those numbers are not overwhelming by any means. I'll say that much. All right. Lots of discussion, going on the board, talking about where time, energy, and resources should be. And as we grow older, maybe our tune will change, but I don't think so. Not as long as we're involved in media. I don't. No,
as long as we see and not that everyone else doesn't. As long as we see the bigger picture, I would think if I were even one of the top 20 masters in the world, I would hope I have the same perspective and just saying, sorry, we're not loved like MPO is loved.
All right. Well, I think on that note, I think that's about all we have for majors. Is there any other major PDGA news or details that have come across on the PDGA? And I know there is. I'm going to answer my own question right away. There is a conversations going on about your PDGA board representatives. So please go out and vote for your preferred board members. I think we're seeing some of the statements being released. I'm not fully caught up yet, but I believe we're seeing some of the board statements being released, and platform statements is what I'm looking for there. Read up on those. Of course, some of our board or candidates are existing board members that are looking for re-election, and I'm not sure how many new people we have in there as well, but they're out there. Please go read up. Does it say in there, Johnny? I don't know what you're reading. If we had 2 or 3 that are positions that need to get refilled?
There's 2 positions for the board that need to be filled.
Okay, so please go out and read up. Maybe some night soon, we should actually maybe talk to or at least get some notes or details out of any of those prospective board members. And then on a more local level, half of our states have, in fact, as every other year, they are up for state coordinator positions. So double check if your email stated that you are need to vote for your local state coordinator. I know here in Wisconsin, we are up for it, and I think it's the first year ever. I did not put myself on Wisconsin's ballot.
So in theory, unless you get written in by enough people, which I bet there's quite a few out there, you will not be the state coordinator for the first time ever.
Correct. That's what I am anticipating. If somehow there was a large enough write-in, I guess I would be flattered, and I would gladly serve the position with a smile on my face, and I would love to do so. But I believe one gentleman had in fact submitted. He's I'll say a newer player, and of course I think that because of my longevity. But he's a newer player, has a great background. I read up a little bit on his statement, and I would love to see someone like him who has not been around forever. I'd just love that breath of fresh air. I think it would be really cool to see. He is not a long-standing tournament director. He doesn't have a lot of long-standing ties, which I think are of all, can be great and have been great and have been a good benefit. But at the same time, I love the idea of fresh new blood to come in, and he looks so qualified with his schooling and with his involvement in the sport in the last 5 or 7 years or so. I think it would be great. So we'll see. But again, wherever you are, see if this is your year to vote for your state coordinator. Hopefully there's a couple of candidates in whatever state you're in, and ask them questions. They have a statement out there, but I'm pretty sure you could find a way to get a hold of anyone that's running. If you have other specific questions, maybe that's a good way to get a good feel. Maybe something, you have a club idea or a tournament idea. Ask the candidate a question right now and see how they, one or more of them respond. And that might give you some really good insight as to if you feel like they'd be a good state coordinator. So that is happening.
Yeah, and that's about all we have for PDGA news. There is an article out there posted on Monday about hosts sought for the 2021 PDGA-owned majors. So if your club or area is looking to think about hosting a PDGA major, I'm guessing that this is old news to you already, and that hopefully you guys have your stuff together. But the bids are due by November, so please go ahead and take a look at that. Read up on that, because there's some talk about some combined worlds, which is maybe what I was talking about with Masters.
Okay, and it's so funny that they've now worded it as PDGA-owned majors.
That is because the PDGA, I believe, does not own the USDGC. So there is never a bid for that one. That is owned and run exclusively by Innova.
And on the flip side,
the amateur event,
the United States Amateur Disc Golf Championships,
owned and run by Discraft.
So it's very interesting that they. I mean, I like that they're
specifying it so that someone doesn't go like, "Hey,
I'm going to bid for the USDGC.
I'm sick of USDGC being at Winthrop. I want it over here at my Valley View course."
Yeah.
So yes.
Okay. And that would probably include, I didn't look at the list, but I'm sure that would include things like the U.S. Women's Championships, all the various World Championships except for the juniors.
U.S. Masters, PDGA Professional Disc Golf, Masters, the Junior Disc Golf Championships for the first time. Not that's the first
18,
year.
19, 20. Yes.
That'll be
Yes,
the first
that will
year.
be
It
the first
not
year.
be probably in Emporia unless they bid and get it again,
Yep.
which is a possibility. And the Amateur World Championships.
Okay.
So.
Wow. Very cool to see that. On a quick super side note, one of, I'll say, Paige's relatively consistent caddies we find out on the tour, Paul Martin, celebrating a birthday and is a huge Smashy and a fan, and a gentleman that shared some Cubs tickets with me once or twice. So happy birthday to you, Paul. We see you out on the board, buddy.
I'm sorry he's a Cubs fan, but I'm happy he has a birthday.
Yeah, that's sure. All right, well, I think we can wrap things up for the regular show here. We will, of course, head into the after show where we'll have a Patreon giveaway and talk about some more things, disc golf or non-disc golf related, whatever comes to mind. We'll see. Things get sometimes a little bit rowdy there. So for Terry Roethlisberger, thank you for joining us tonight, talking a little bit about your Titan Open victory and your plans as you close out 2019 and move into 2020. We're excited to see if you'll be out on that tour full time. For Johnny V and Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, this has been podcast episode 254. We'll see you in the after show. Step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SmashBoxxTV podcast 254 After Show. Here we are.
Yep. How you doing?
Since returning from Finland,
Oh, geez. Okay.
there's just a lot of things on my plate. And I'm very blessed to go do the things that I have to do or the things that I get to do. I love what I do. I love my opportunities. I love the work that I do. But that also sometimes just a lot of things come to a head and challenges and, you know, and some are a little more personal than others or specific. Silly things like coming home to, and I know it's a first world problem, but things like central air not working once we've experienced some significant heat here in Wisconsin.
The central air in my car is not working.
Yeah. It's called central air.
Oh, it's only one room, but yes.
My
air conditioner.
So something like that. I've expressed a few frustrations and woes with a dishwasher, which was looked at and then not fixed, and then flooded my condo, and then flooded my neighbors into my neighbors. So fighting with damage claims and just really incompetent people. Yeah, I will say it again because it rings so true in my head every single day, and I put myself in that same category. If people just did their effing jobs and things just worked the way they're supposed to, life would be so grand, and that's so obvious. But the incompetence by people and the just negligence and disregard and self-respect for the things you do or are in charge of, I'm becoming even more so this bitter old man that just cannot believe how incompetent some people choose to be on any given day.
Are you going to start yelling at people to get off your lawn, even though you don't really have a lawn?
I have a lawn, and I will yell at them. And then there's incompetence, and then there's just sheer ignorance. What do you call the guy as I'm driving to your place tonight, going down a relatively busy, major-ish, it's not a highway, but it's one of the busier streets in Milwaukee.
27th?
Oklahoma.
Okay.
East-west? Yeah, east-west, across Milwaukee. There is a female driver, a kid in the back seat. The gentleman in the front seat, as I pull up next to him, is relaxing with a nice, fine 24-ounce Bud Light, can of Bud Light.
Really?
I just think he's not driving. I'll give him that. There's his thumbs up. I don't care that he's drinking Bud Light. I don't judge you for what you drink. The fact that he is drinking so blatantly in the middle of the afternoon as a passenger in a car on a relatively busy street. And one could say la vie, right? Let others live how they ever want to live, whatever. What do I care? Again, I don't know what category I get to toss that one under.
It's just to shake your head like, really? Ugh.
I don't even have to judge him that he's drinking. Maybe he works third shift and that's his nightlife. I don't care about the time necessarily. No. You are openly drinking a can of beer. Like he was like this, full out, like no concealing whatsoever. And I just was like, okay, cool. And that was like 20th on my list today. So don't worry, I'm not just worked up about that. Worked up, but it was that was pretty incredible in itself. So people are special out there.
Yeah, I guess so.
Special.
I'm going through all the Marvel movies again.
Okay. Yeah, we all have our priorities.
Yep. We started this weekend, so I'm bringing my son up to speed, and my wife, who's never watched them and actually showed a mild amount of interest in them. I was like, really? So we have watched all the way up through the Avengers right now, which is like the first 5 movies out of 22. We've watched 5 movies in about 4 to 5 days. And just, if we get a chance, watch a movie at night from like 7:30 to 9, and then send the kid to bed and probably have a snack and go to bed myself. That's been the last couple of days. Cooked steak tonight for dinner. It was delicious.
On a grill?
No, on cast iron skillet, and then put it in the oven to finish it off, and it was great. I do a good job cooking like that.
Okay.
I'm not much of a grill person because I don't own a grill. I can if I need to, but it's not usually my preference on how I cook. So feel free to judge me on that. But just
you're not a grill master chef.
No, not really. Nah. It's never really interested me. I can cook hot dogs and
burgers. You can screw up so many things so easily.
Oh, sure.
On a grill. So
yeah, I can cook your typical burger and hot dog or brat on a grill without a problem. But I've never even attempted to cook a steak on a grill.
Yeah, I don't. As I get older, I continue to realize I don't need to get really good at everything that interests me. And I feel like grilling is one of those things where I don't want to put the time, energy, and effort into it. And there's plenty of people that are great at grilling, and I love grilled food on any given day. But I'm not going to make it a priority to become like exceptional at it.
Oh gosh, no.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Speaking of movies, I consumed
Spider-Man.
more movies in the last week.
Well, you were on like a 12-hour plane
Yeah,
ride.
9-hour plane ride each way. There was a little 40-minute ride from Stockholm over to Helsinki, but I was on a 9-hour plane ride from Chicago to Stockholm, and I managed to consume. It might have been 6 total movies when it was all said and done between the two legs, maybe even more than that.
Oh, please, tell me what movies you watched.
I'll say this. I didn't watch any more because there were literally no more that even remotely interested me as options.
So they were all just the typical airplane movies.
I mean, it's funny how they categorized them. There's comedy, drama, so on and so forth, all of those typical. And then there's even a section that's like last chance, like, they're not going to probably be, in the plane's queue for that much longer. And then they all, they overlap from one to another. I managed, I watched The Mule with Clint Eastwood.
That looked like it interested me zero.
I don't want to say, I feel like maybe out of all the ones that I watched, it was one of the better ones. It was all right. So I watched that. Game Night.
I like that. I saw that in the budget. I enjoyed that quite a bit with Jason Bateman. And I enjoyed that.
Side note, Jason Bateman is he the definition of typecast character?
At this point, kind of, yes.
Like the funny-ish, lovable.
Yes and no, because if you watch Ozark, he doesn't play that character at all on Netflix. It's a serious, like Breaking Bad. He is a drug. Well, technically, he's not a drug dealer.
Come on, don't spoil it.
But he works with basically the Mexican mafia, and he's cleaning money for them, and it is 100% different character than what you ever see him in, and he's phenomenal in it. So, but yes, it seems like for movies, he is very much that typecast.
Yeah, it just feels like he's always playing
I enjoyed
similar.
and
I really do enjoy
Night.
him, and I think he's great. But it just feels like those movies are, and the woman that dated the dumb guy in that movie, for those that watched it, she's in Catastrophe, which is a Amazon Prime exclusive, I believe, series. And ever since I've seen her, I have no idea what her name is. Ever since I saw her in Catastrophe, I just love her, and I think she's great. And then it was great she actually played a pretty similar role, I feel like, kind of sarcastic, in Date Night. It was great to see her again as well. I don't know how big of an actress she is, but I really enjoy her. So I saw Date Night. I saw The Mule. I watched, I can't even remember it. Will Ferrell and the other guy from...
You didn't watch like the Sherlock Holmes
Yes.
thing? Oh my God, I heard that was horrible.
It was.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I really honestly thought, okay, I'm going to turn this off, and I didn't. It was, coincidentally, I think the shortest movie out of all the movies that were even offered. It was like 90 minutes on the dot. Yeah, I mean, I guess a few of the parts did make me kind of chuckle, but not really good. I did, I don't know if you'd say finally, yeah, I guess, I finally got around. I watched A Star is Born. Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper.
I have not seen it. I feel like I saw it because I watched other people, that and the Queen movie, the Queen documentary, because they were on
Bohemian Rhapsody, because they were on the plane and I was surrounded by them. So I'm sitting listening to my own thing, not watching an in-flight movie, but everybody around me either had on Bohemian Rhapsody or A Star is Born. So I got to watch about 4 different parts at all the different times. I feel like I've watched the whole movie, if not multiple times, on both of those aspects without really ever, thankfully, having seen the movie, because it doesn't seem like my style of movie. I heard it's good, but I will say this. I think many would say, unless there's something I don't know, I think most would say that Bradley Cooper is a very good actor.
Yeah.
In general. I've always been kind of hit or miss on like Lady Gaga's crazy antics when she first came into the scene, but yet provocative and outside the box. I have such a huge respect for them in that movie. I thought they were very, very good. I know they were up for a ton of awards. I don't even know how many they won. I know I'm quite late to the
There's
party
all sorts
here.
of rumors they're dating at this point.
Yeah, and I think those have been shot down and blah, blah, blah. But I know it seems to be a pretty heavy rumor. But
I just read something like a couple weeks ago that he broke up with his lady friend. She just got a divorce or something, and I don't know. But anyway, Star is Born.
Yeah. I'm gonna say it. It was really, really good.
Okay.
I'd love to know what other people thought of it. I'm guessing some people would be like, I'd never watch that. It's such a chick flick or something like that.
No,
That's fine. If you want to call it that, or
I called the ending, even not watching it, I called the ending well ahead of time. And then I watched it in silence. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen.
yeah, well, it was good. It was
that's
really
good.
Gosh, I was gonna try and look. I was trying to think of the other ones that I watched. I feel like I watched like 4 movies on the way there because it was a 9-hour flight, and then 2 or 3 on the way back. It felt really weird. If you don't know, you usually don't have full power, regular AC power on some of those longer flights, or most of them, most that I've been on, do not have it. So my editing and or computer at most is, depending on what you're doing, that 1.5 to 2.5 hour lifespan, which just drives me crazy because there's nothing, I know this sounds crazy, there's nothing more that I'd love to do is to be able to actually edit and get caught up on things like that for that entire flight. And I would do that in a heartbeat, but you have to like conserve and then think about, well, how long's my layover and how much work can I really get done? So I very much minimized how much I did on a computer, and it was kind of weird to veg out into movies for so long. I'll have to look at what the other ones were, but those all came to mind. Date night, I remember, was the one that kind of started me off. My buddy next to me, Johnny Rumble, watched Bohemian Rhapsody. He really liked it. And as I looked over his shoulder, I was like, I don't know that I would really care for it. So I did not. But that would have been, if I was going to watch yet one more, that's probably the one that I would have consumed.
See, and I would have just downloaded a bunch of movies on like an iPad or a tablet and had a secondary power source. Because when I flew back and forth to Portland, I looked at the in-flight entertainment and none of it interested me. Now, one of those movies, did I really feel like yeah, I missed this and I could see seeing this. Like I looked at him and I was like, meh.
Per a recommendation, I don't want to say subjected. I don't think that's the right. I did watch Dumplin', which was cute in its own way, regarding beauty pageants, but this overweight child that was trying to buck the system a little bit. It was cute in its own way, so that was all right. As I mentioned, Game Night and Holmes and Watson is the one that we were talking about before. I did watch that. Yeah, as you're looking over my shoulder, is there anything here that's jumping out at you that you would have?
No.
It was
nothing that I mean, on the basis of sex, I would maybe watch that a little bit.
The Greatest Showman,
which I haven't seen, and I don't know. Like,
oh, The Upside. That was the other one that I did watch. Kevin Hart, I feel like I could take or leave him on any given day. Him and Bryan Cranston.
Us, I would watch Us. That's a horror movie by Jordan Peele.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't watch that. So The Upside, I'll admit, I feel like
okay.
Kevin Hart is a little bit of an overactor and can be, I feel like, a little obnoxious. That turned out to be all right. So love or hate all of those movie selections, but that's what I was able to consume traveling back and forth.
Truth always wins. Thank you. Shout out for your super chat. I saw a $2 super chat, so thank you very, very, very much.
We appreciate that. Yes, he asked, how much does a person need to give to be acknowledged?
There's a few shows that I want to, as everyone who maybe has a significant other knows, that it can be very difficult sometimes deciding what you want to watch, because you have to decide if you want to watch it with your significant other, which then, for me personally, will maybe slow me down on something. And there are times that I will just decide to watch something and not tell my wife, even though I know she wants to watch it. For instance, I think right now she's upstairs watching Russian Doll on Netflix, which I burned through, thankfully, in like 2 to 3 days when I was home. And there's a few things that I really want to get. There's a documentary series on YouTube called Defunct Land that I hear is very good, and it's all about old amusement parks that have been shut down. Why they were shut down, the story behind them. I heard it's very well done. It's just some guy that does it and edits it himself and does all this thing. So that's really good. And then also on Netflix, I'm going to watch Documentary Now, which is a Fred Armisen and Bill Hader thing where it's all fake documentaries. They act like they feel like they're real, but they're truly just fake and a little more humorous. And I've heard really good things about that. Those are the next two things I want to probably buckle down and watch myself. So if you've seen any of that stuff, go ahead and give me an opinion on that.
Yeah, I was also thinking as I kind of got lost in a little bit of that entertainment, I may or may not now consume a movie for weeks or months, or maybe until I take my next international flight. I just usually don't have, I don't want to say I don't have the time. I do not prioritize whatsoever in terms of sitting down and watching too many of the movies these days. And if I ever do have time or something that's background noise when I'm doing something at home late at night and I'm editing or doing something else, I'm usually throwing on some form of a stand-up special or something like that instead. So it'll be interesting to see next time I take an international flight in a few months what's going to be on or available at that time. And then I'll report back to everybody.
Oh, thanks.
We'll see what Bradley Cooper's up to. I mean, it was also a little weird to watch him in A Star Is Born, and then in a very different role, of course, watch him as almost a main character in The Mule. So you know you're doing things well when you're in at least two different movies at the same time. You're on SAS, Scandinavian. I did run into a gentleman, I believe his name was Mike. I apologize. We were in Stockholm. We had a very early flight that went from Helsinki to Stockholm. And the Stockholm to Chicago flight was a huge, huge flight, as a lot of those are. That was a big one. And as we were waiting in line, a gentleman came up, introduced himself, and I said, "Oh, were you just here for Tyyni?" And he's like, "No. Me and my wife are, I think it's a year later, they're on their honeymoon. I think he said Greece or France or both, and was just they were just on their honeymoon. They're now heading back. They live in Michigan." And, we took a quick picture and all that stuff, but it's awesome to see someone in Stockholm that wasn't at Tyyni and was said that they're a big fan of watching what we do. So, I believe it was Mike. It's a pleasure meeting you, buddy. Oh, and Latitude 64's Latitude 64's own David Berglund quit stalking me. He went to... as we were flying out on Monday, the day after Ledgestone, we ran into Eric and Tina and Eagle McMahon at the airport. They were going out about an hour later, and an hour after them, I think, was Simon. But Dave Berglund from Latitude 64 was at the airport and on our flight, sat one row behind us, behind myself and Johnny Rumble. Fast forward a week, and sure enough, he was taking a flight out of Helsinki over to Stockholm and was on our flight there as well. So pretty funny to see some of the, international superstar geniuses behind all of the Frisbees that take place, and some pretty sweet molds. Did you see what I got? Oh my!
I heard you have
gosh.
some Opto X harps or something.
VIP-X harps that were only released there at Tyyni. And they did another release of another disc. It was a special blended Gatekeeper that had a sauna stamp on it because everyone in Finland love their saunas. And there was a Team Trilogy sauna party of sorts. And I believe there were only 100 discs made that had this sauna stamp. And I was lucky enough to get my little collector hands on some of those as well. Pretty sweet action. All right, so we're going to take a few things off the board here as well, as I see some questions coming in. What's the max weight a putter can be? Typical if it's truly a putter and fits into that, we'll say, category of putter, you're usually going to be looking at 175 or 176 grams, depending on, again, what's being classified as a putter. The weights on discs are determined by their circumference and a bunch of other details. That's why you see a disc like a Lynx or a Zephyr or a condor, all some of your favorites that I know you throw regularly, are legal up to like 200 grams. And of course, some of your smaller discs that have smaller diameters and circumference, or whatever those words are, radius squared, pi r squared, will have a max size of like 175 or 176. And then, of course, a lot of your mid ranges can be typically legal up to like 180. Hope that answers your question. Who is doing coverage at the Great Lakes Open? I missed all of it. Truth Always Wins. As we know of right now, and I don't know if we know all the details, but we do know we will be live Friday, Saturday, Sunday on the Disc Golf Pro Tour channel. It will be Johnny V switching the show, calling those shots, so to speak, or selecting those shots, calling the shots. We're going to have Paul Ulibarri and Marty from Arizona. They will be calling the play-by-play. I will be also out there on the ground chiming in with some action as we see it unfold during those rounds. So that's what you're going to see. Post-production, I'm not as sure about. We believe we're going to see Central Coast out there in some capacity, but that's all that I know of for sure off the top of my head. So hope that answers that question.
Well, we do have some Patreon giveaways that we need to do. We need to do one for last week and one for this week. So, Terry, what do you...
Not an Opto VIPX. I'm telling you that.
Oh, geez.
Or one of my sauna stamps. Not one of those. I've got some good giveaways.
We got some good giveaways. So we're going to do two
some
giveaways.
Disc Golf Guy stamp stuff, probably.
We're going to do two giveaways. And so, again, if you want to be automatically entered into our Patreon giveaway, or into our giveaway, you can go to patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV and become a Patreon supporter. That gets you an automatic entry into our weekly little giveaway. And I did pull in 4 other people tonight.
Okay.
From the other place that we pull them in from. So if you know that, go back and listen to some of the an old podcast from about 2 weeks ago. Anyway, we have 206 Patreon supporters that we are doing. So we're going to do a giveaway right now. Terry.
So we're going to have 2 of them, you're saying?
We're going to do 2 of them. 2 of them tonight.
All right. Well.
Is there a specific number you'd like me to do, or should we just do 1 and 2?
Let's do 2 and then 1.
2. All right. So our first giveaway is going to be number 150, which is...
How are they organized tonight? Looks like
just by
first name?
Just by first name. Paul Baker.
Oh,
congratulations,
yes.
Paul Baker. You win the very first giveaway of the night. And our next giveaway, so I'm only going to generate one number now this time.
You're just going to hit generate once.
Generate once, and that is number 42.
42.
42.
A name that starts with an F, I'm going to guess?
A C. Craig Sink. Congratulations, Craig Sink. You are our other Patreon supporter giveaway. Much appreciated for all of your support. We will get some stuff out to you, and we are also got to get something out to Cy from a couple weeks ago. Cy Spencer, who we promised some stuff out, and I forgot to email him. So
okay.
That's on me.
As always, a couple quick reminders on that. First of all, thank you for supporting us. Second of all, please, if Johnny V or myself send you an email, what we're looking to do is just always confirm your actual address, because there have been a few times we just assumed we had the right address, and then you've moved, and then it didn't get to you, and then everybody is sad. So if you're a winner or you know someone that won, please make sure that they're checking their email or check it yourself and get back to myself and Johnny, preferably at least me, because I am in charge of the shipping. Which brings me to point 2. If there is something that you are owed and you have not received yet that you should have, do not hesitate to remind me. I'm going to get back in the swing after moving or being overseas. I sent out a whole bunch of stuff actually before I left for Ledgestone, and I feel like I got again caught up. I say that about once a month, where I do get really caught up. And so if there's something that is still lingering, do not hesitate to reach out and send me a message and confirm what it is that I owe you, and I'll make sure to get it out.
And the second quarter Patreon shirts I've contacted Miles and from Paragon, and let him know exactly what we're looking for and the number of shirts. This is going to be a Smashbox shirt with basically.
Oh, don't tell him.
Should we just surprise him?
Yeah.
Okay. It is
surprise.
Surprise! You'll be getting a shirt in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. So I've contacted Miles. That order has been put in. You will get the shirt, and it is. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Let me put it that way.
Love to see you with those shirts on. Tag us. Truth always wins. Getting another super chat in there. We appreciate it. All right, Johnny. Anything else exciting going on?
Not really. We have other things we need to talk about off the air.
Oh, no.
As far as planning for Worlds and upcoming events to cover and stuff. And just boring planning crap. Like, hey, hotel rooms and travel and flights, and that stuff's not exciting, and it costs us money.
That too.
Hey, let's spend a bunch of money.
Well,
but we're happy to do it because I enjoy doing the broadcast, and I don't have to go anywhere.
Well, look for some pretty sweet Worlds opportunities and things that are going to be coming about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you get one shirt spoiler / clue. It will be dark colored. That's all we'll give you. And of course, that goes hand in hand with making sure that your correct size has been shared with Johnny V so that we know that we're getting you the right one.
I believe I have everybody's shirt size at this point. So.
Okay. Ace Run, who's also a super chatter tonight, says Terry has flown to Sweden to avoid the hug. That is incorrect. There was at least 1 or 2 Smashies that said they would like to take me up on the SmashBoxxTV hug, and I was more than ready to oblige. So thank you to everyone out there. I will speak, it's a little after show action as well, but I'll speak to not only the level of play and everything else I've praised them for over there in Finland and the event, as if I needed a place to feel even dumber. When you go over there, and you're on a card, MPO, FPO, doesn't matter. And there's 3 or 4 nationalities being represented, nations being represented there. And you hear 3 or 4 or 5 or 8 different languages being tossed around, or what I believe are 8 different languages anyway. It's incredible. I don't want to just say how smart everyone is over there, but to hear so many fluently speaking people, I just feel so dumb knowing I don't speak any other language. I know a little bit of ASL, little sign language, which I don't speak, but I know a little bit of ASL and have someone from, Finland speaking 2 or 3 different languages and then speaking, and one of those being English. I know it's all part of the culture and it's everything over there. I get all of that. It's still intimidating to go to Johnny Rumble needed a snack, and we went through one of the few places that's open late is McDonald's, and even that you have to drive for. He had gone to McDonald's and they address you in Finnish, and he replied in English, and in perfect English. The order is recited back, and all of the transaction takes place then in English, like without skipping a beat. And it's a very humbling yet exciting thing that any grocery store, even when you just say hello to the grocery store clerk and then they reply back, and then everything they say there is in English from throughout your entire transaction. It was incredible. Maybe I'm a little closeted to not have known or experienced that before this trip, but to be fair, I've never been in Finland. It was cool, and to hear that in first grade, I believe someone had told me, Antonia, I believe from Germany, was telling me that in first grade is when one of her children got introduced to English, and in third grade they're introduced to yet another language. Just incredible for sure. As Ace Run says, U.S. needs to step up the education game. There's no more clearer evidence of that than traveling over there, let me tell you. So that was something that was pretty cool. Took a little getting used to kilometers. Pro tip, don't speed, don't run any red lights. They've got a lot of camera boxes, as they're called, traffic boxes that just simply take pictures, of course, when you're going over the speed limit. So a lot of people do the speed limit, which is just which I felt was also low, but also interesting to experience. Things in the Tyyni vicinity shut down relatively early. You're not going to find a grocery store that's open at 10 o'clock at night. You're not going to find a pub or a bar or a restaurant that's open at 10 o'clock at night, for instance, after our podcast was done each night. So unless you travel back into Helsinki, you're not going to get some of those experiences. So you're planning for all of that certainly factors in when you're there. Traffic was relatively low. It was just, there were so many unique little cultural experiences. Also, of course, knowing that it was midnight and you could be out golfing. In fact, I think they started one of the tournament rounds pre-Tyyni and started it and had it start at like 2 a.m., played a round, took a break, and then had another round of golf. And that's when the tournament had started. So just some of the really cool things that you can do while you're over there, for sure. All right. Well, Johnny's emailing our winners, and
I already did. I
Yep.
emailed one winner. I emailed Cy, and the other two I sent you their email addresses so you can contact them.
Okay, so we'll make sure to get some of that action out ASAP. And once a few more items arrive that are being shipped over, I may have a few Tyyni specific items that we'll be able to give away as part of the extra giveaways that I captured while I was there, so I could bring them back just so we could share them. Just not the Harp VIP. You don't get one of those. All right, Johnny, I think we are ready to call it. Excuse me. Looking forward to seeing some of you, many of you, either online or in person at the Great Lakes Open. Of course, a lot of hype surrounding that this upcoming weekend. The famous 18 under that took place by Paul Macbeth.
Do you think he's going to get within 2 strokes of that score? Do you think he'll get a 16 or better?
If I'm just playing a numbers game and some statistics, I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I think that is obviously his 18 under is an outlier.
You're anti-Paul Macbeth. That's what I got.
Yeah, hot take. Paul's not very good. No, I just think, you'd like to say, well, that's a once in a lifetime until you did it a few months later. But yeah, I just think it was that incredible, and certainly not something anyone could, I don't think, would bet on. What would Vegas give odds for something like that?
Probably, that's got to be a 1 in 100,000
for an 18 under, obviously.
18 under. Maybe.
What about for a 16 under?
I bet you that's probably a lot less. Maybe it's not even 100,000. Maybe it's 70,000, 1 in 70,000. And then for a 16 under, I bet you that's 1 in 300, 1 in 200.
Huh. Well,
if I had to take some guesses.
Okay.
Not a Vegas odds maker. I'm not good at it.
Disc Baron says, see you guys this weekend. Disc Baron, if we cross paths, make sure, we have a little chit chat. It'd be great to do so. You won't see Johnny, but you may see me out there running around for sure. Mike Nickel on the board says -12 is the best that Macbeth will shoot. So that's a take.
I think that's a little low. I think personally, I wouldn't be surprised to see him hit 14. We'll split the difference.
All right. Ryan says, I missed the after show. Just tuned in. Back expecting the show to go till midnight. Yeah, we're going to cut it a little short. Yes, I'm under the weather, but there's just there's a lot of things going on that have to be taken care of. So, all right, guys, we're going to call it. We appreciate it. Johnny V, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. That's podcast 254 after show. We'll see you this weekend from the Discraft Great Lakes Open and next Tuesday night when you step inside the Smashbox.